What it is, what it do. I'm A1, this is Destiny. And for those who don't know already, there is a new Queen's Wrath limited time event going on right now. So in this video, I'm going to be going through each of the first 4 bounties that are available. The reason I won't be going over the last 2 is because they aren't available yet. And I believe they won't be available until day 5 and day 6 of this limited time event. So we're only going to be going over the first 4 because those are the only ones that are available. Alright, so for the first bounty, we have to assassinate Drevis, the Wolf Baroness. And with a title like Baroness, that leads me to believe that this fallen enemy is a girl. Yeah, that's right. The fallen captain that we have to kill is a female. Isn't that what Baroness means? If it was a dude, it would just be a Baron, I believe. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. But don't get your hopes up, guys, because this fallen woman looks like a dude. She looks straight up just like the regular Barons. So yeah, like I was saying, don't get your hopes up, unless of course you're into that kind of thing. Alright, so in order to complete this bounty, you're going to have to go to the Forgotten Shore. And I got to this area by first selecting Patrol Cosmodrome, and then I hopped on my Sparrow and drove all the way to the Forgotten Shore. And if you don't know where the Forgotten Shore is, just ask for directions in the comments. And if nobody else answers your question, then I will. Anyways, once you've gotten to the Forgotten Shore, you just want to hang out there until you see the notification that says a pack of wolves is prowling. And you'll see that notification above your yellow super ability bar. Now, unfortunately, they will not spawn in the same area. I believe for this particular bounty, there's a total of 3 different areas where the fallen enemies will spawn. As you can see, one of the areas are located here, which is also near the beginning of the Omnigul strike. Another area they'll spawn at is over here towards this cave. And the last area where the fallen enemies could potentially spawn is over here closer to the shore. So whenever you see that notification that a pack of wolves is prowling, you just want to look up in the sky and look for their ship, because their ship is going to be dropping off fallen enemies, including the enemy that you're going to have to assassinate. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I haven't done the last 2 bounties yet because they aren't available, but with the first 4 bounties, they seem like they're very similar to the public events where you have to defend a war sat. And the reason I say that is because when you defend a war sat in the public event, you'll get waves and waves of enemies coming at you. And it's practically the same thing when you're trying to complete these Queen's Wrath bounties. You're going to have about 4 or 5 waves of enemies coming at you. Now with the first wave, there's going to be a couple captains. And after you kill those captains, they're going to drop the Scorch Cannon. So if you haven't used the Scorch Cannon yet, then this is a great way for you to be able to get it and use it. Anyways, like I mentioned, there's about 4 or 5 waves. And this entire thing lasted about 4 or 5 minutes. So I'm not going to show every wave because we would be here all day. But another thing I wanted to point out is that once you get to that final wave of enemies and you see Drevis, the Baroness, you want to keep in mind that she has an arc shield. So you definitely want to use arc weapons if you have any. The ones that I chose to use was the Fangaver U, the 4th Horseman, and Jolder's Hammer Heavy Machine Gun. Now if you're playing with a lot of people, you don't necessarily need arc weapons. But if it's just you or you and one other person, then you probably want to equip weapons that give arc damage. And to be more specific, a heavy weapon machine gun that gives arc damage. Because when I tried to take down his shield using my Fangaver U, it seemed like it took forever for his shield to go down. And every time that I would reload, his shield ended up regenerating until it was full again. So I would definitely recommend using a heavy weapon machine gun. And the way that I used it was I would take down his shield with my heavy machine gun and then keep shooting him with it to do as much damage as I can. And as soon as I ran out of ammo on my heavy machine gun, instead of reloading, I quickly switched to my 4th Horseman shotgun and tried to do as much damage as I could. Again, if you're playing with a lot of people, having weapons that do arc damage probably isn't necessary. But if you're doing this by yourself, then you definitely want to have arc weapons. Anyways, after you kill Drevis the Baroness, you'll have 1 minute and 30 seconds to find the treasure chest. And the treasure chest has multiple spawn areas, so you're going to have to run around the map and look for it. And you'll know that you found it if you see the yellow light illuminating from the treasure chest. Obviously, it's a lot easier to find if you're playing with other people. But if for whatever reason you don't find it, it's no big deal. The only thing that you're missing out on is maybe a special ammo synthesis. You'll also get some materials like spin metal or spirit blooms. You'll also get a nice amount of glimmer, and you may also get a decoherent engram. And another thing that I should probably mention is that if you get any decoherent engrams from the treasure chest, you won't be able to decode that engram until May 19th when House of Wolves drops. So like I said, you'll only have a minute and 30 seconds to find it, but if you don't find it, it's no big deal. You're only missing out on synthesis, materials, engrams, and glimmer. Nothing special. Alright, so for the day 2 bounty, you're going to have to kill a servitor named Calyx 12. In order to do this bounty, you're going to have to go to the Skywatch area, which is also on Earth. And the way that I got there was just like with the last bounty. I went to patrol Cosmodrome, and then I got on my Sparrow and traveled to the Skywatch area. This bounty is practically the same as the last bounty. You're going to have about 4 or 5 waves of enemies that are going to drop out of the enemy ship. And the fallen enemy that you have to kill for the bounty is going to drop out with the last wave. Now with this bounty, the fallen enemy that you have to assassinate is a level 30 servitor named Calyx 12. And it doesn't have any type of shield. So it should be a lot easier to complete this bounty if you don't have any arc weapons or if you're playing alone. And just like with the last bounty, as soon as you assassinate the fallen enemy that you were supposed to kill, you'll have a minute and 30 seconds to find the treasure chest. So in order to get that treasure chest, you just want to run around the Skywatch area, looking in all the places where chests normally spawn, and try to keep an eye out for the chest that has a yellow light illuminating from it. Obviously, it's a lot easier to find the chest if you're playing with other people because y'all can split up in different directions and find it quicker. Alright, so the next bounty, which is the day 3 bounty, it's going to be located at the Citadel on Venus. And for this bounty, you're going to have to assassinate Picus the Disavowed. And Picus is a Dreg, so he's not going to have any type of arc shield, or any shield for that matter. So having weapons that do arc damage, or any type of damage, isn't really necessary. This day 3 bounty is just like the previous 2. You're going to have about 5 waves of enemies to kill, and you won't see Picus until the last wave. And just like the previous 2 bounties, you're going to have a minute and 30 seconds to find the treasure chest after you assassinate your target. Alright, so for the day 4 bounty, you're going to have to kill Beltrick the Veiled. And this one's going to be located in the Ember Caves area on Venus. Again, the way that I got there was I went to patrol Venus, and as soon as I spawned on Venus, I took a left, and it was the very first area that I got to. And just like the other bounties, you're going to have about 4 or 5 waves of enemies. And you won't see Beltrick the Veiled until the last wave. And just like with the first bounty, Beltrick is a fallen captain that has arc shields. So you're definitely going to want to equip weapons that give arc damage when you're doing this bounty. And just like all the other bounties, after you assassinate your target, you're going to have a minute and 30 seconds to find the treasure chest. Anyways, that pretty much sums up the first 4 bounties of the Queen's Wrath limited time event. And as soon as the day 5 and day 6 bounties become available, I'll upload a video going over those 2 as well. Now unfortunately, when I went to visit the Queen's Emissary at the tower, I didn't really see a whole lot of rewards for completing these bounties. I believe I only saw a couple shaders and a couple emblems. So I'm really hoping that they add some more rewards over the next few days, because that would suck if this was all they had to offer for this limited time event. Anyways, after you've completed your bounties, obviously you want to go back to the tower and turn them into the Queen's Emissary. And after you turn in these bounties for the first time, you should at least have a rank of level 1 with the Queen. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, don't forget to do what you do. I'm A1. Thanks for watching.